Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. I hope you guys are doing amazing as you're tuning in to listen to this week's episode, where I'm going to be talking about how to price your offers as a coach. And specifically, this was inspired by the ongoing questions that I'm constantly coaching around when it comes to pricing strategy and, how to make profit and also serve your clients. And what I would like to start off with saying is there is no magic formula to this. So if you're hoping I'm going to give you a specific formula, I'm not. And here's why I'm not is because anybody that tells you there's a specific formula to price your offers perfectly is not taking into account that you are not a robot and your past experiences with money and pricing and sales are very diverse. And some of you are coming from a place like I did. I never have sold anything in my life, never worked retail. Well, I did do a little stint at Old Navy for a few months, but I did mostly stocking work, didn't work at cash register even, never sold anything, never marketed. And so when I stepped into coaching, I've shared this story often. My first stab at setting up pricing for coaching, and this was when I was doing email only coaching, was $50 per month per client. Clearly, think about I'm coaching somebody weekly inside of email. Those emails are taking me 15 to 30 minutes to reply. I wasn't making a lot of money with this strategy. And it was an amazing place to begin to dip my toe in the water and understand more about pricing, begin to get curious around how much money I really wanted to make and the vision to make, and to be quite honest, what felt like very energetically mutual inside of my coaching practice. Because the worst is when we're delivering, and at the end of the day we're kind of feeling like, wow, the return is not equal. And that's true of anything: relationships, corporate work, etc. And so I want to start out by talking about some of the common mistakes and pitfalls where I see coaches get trapped and struggle when it comes to pricing, because I think you're going to see yourself inside of these a bit. And I want to help you identify. And if you hear one of these mistakes and you think, okay, yes, I am making this mistake, no worries. I'm going to give you not a formula, but steps to really create a pricing structure that works for you so that you price your offers and they feel energetically like an energetic match for you right where you are in your journey, whether you're just starting out, you're a year in, or maybe you've been doing this for a while and you're really great, but you're just like, wow, I am not making the money. I really feel like there's some opportunity here to shift my pricing. So this episode is for all of you that fall into one of those camps. So, one mistake that I often see coaches make is that, I see this advice being given constantly in the coaching industry, and I think it's a load of bullshit and it does not serve the client whatsoever. And that is price your offers based on how much money you want to make. So, for example, if I was a new coach, I was like, I want to make 100K this year. Then you arbitrarily are like, well, I'm going to pick 2K, which means I'm going to serve 100 clients. Or I only want 25 clients, so I'm going to charge each of them according, right? And so what happens then is, instead of checking in on your ideal client, can they afford the pricing? Does it make sense, the pricing structure, or the price that your investment that you're included? When I say price, investment, by the way, those are all used interchangeably. um, you're not looking at the market. You're not considering your own confidence and your ability to sell at that particular investment level. And so I think that this is very misleading. It looks great on paper, but it does not serve you in the long run. Another common mistake is that many of us are used to coming from a place where we were had like an hourly rate, more or less. And so a lot of coaches come in thinking they're going to charge by hour. And so I'm going to charge $50 an hour, and for 10 sessions, it will be 500. And I actually don't think that's necessarily a bad way to start. I'm going to talk about why shortly. However, hourly pricing actually gets us in this trap of trading time for money. And what it does is it actually devalues your service in the long term. Your clients are coming to you for transformation. And so we're not looking at how can I make changes per hour. We're looking at what does this whole experience really stack up to and shift how does it shift their life? And if you have the solution to their pain point, then the transformation is worth probably thousands and thousands more than you're actually existing to charge. And then we have kind of this opposite ends of the spectrum mistakes. I see clients that come in, especially as new coaches, and they've heard of high ticket offers, high ticket meaning obviously more expensive, a greater investment. And they're just like, I just want 2 clients at 5K. And they don't necessarily have the social proof. They haven't validated their offer, validated their coaching, but they are just stuck. They're going to charge 5K or 10K because they want to be in that level. Now, I think there's this element of belief that is absolutely important in how you price. And also, your clients want to know that you have the background to really verify that that investment level matches. And that can be very dependent on who you're serving, right? If I'm in corporate coaching, that ticket might be a bit higher. If I'm in some other form of coaching where I'm maybe serving a population that is at a different standard investment level, then that might look different. But I often see prices or coaches get really stuck on too high, or the other mistake is too low. And the reason is they're afraid to ask. They don't want to be salesy, they don't want to be pushy. They're really dead set, like, I'm here to serve the world and I don't want to have to price for my coaching. I want everybody to afford it. And that's really a mistake that I would offer that you're making. I've talked about it lots on the show, is that by making your offers accessible to everyone, you're actually not making it accessible to the most ideal client. And that's why we have what I always call an ecosystem in our business. That's why I produce the podcast, because that is a free value tool that anybody could listen to. And then if you like what I'm saying so much and you're like, okay, she knows her ish, then you would likely come with me deeper on the journey. And that's how we structure and create kind of this ecosystem, this pyramid inside of our business. And also, when you price too low, then you have to serve a really high volume. If we're talking one-to-one work specifically, and that time often leaves you exhausted. And so I'm going to share my framework for teaching my clients how to set their investment levels. I'm going to share how I do this, how it's helped me take my business from scratch, starting at charging $50 a month to charging thousands per month over time. And this was not an overnight shift. I want to be really truthful about that. It was baby steps. And what I can tell you about price increases that I've made is oftentimes it was just felt. I could start to feel like this energy in my business where I was ready to make this big leap. And what I realized is I actually don't need to change anything. If I just added a price jump, what I would start to feel is more energetic mutualism from the investment that was coming in and the output. And so oftentimes price increases are felt. And also sometimes when I just hear my clients, I can tell that they're kind of trapped in belief systems, limiting belief systems that are not really serving them around cash flow. So I encourage you to get out a piece of paper. If you don't have one in front of you right now, go grab one, hit pause, come back. If you're driving or listening on a walk or something, you could just do this into your notes app as you listen, or come back to the episode and listen again so you can actually walk through these step by step. So here we go. So on that piece of paper, what I really love for you to start with is estimating how many hours it will take you to serve and deliver one client's worth of work. So in the existing container, so just choose one container, and I'm going to use an example of just one-to-one work. And so if I have a client and my existing coaching container is, let's say, 3 months, and I meet them every other week, then over the course of 3 months, I'm likely going to have about 6 sessions with them, 2 per month. And so I would think, okay, that's 6 hours of live coaching. And then maybe I also, inside of this package, have included an in-between source of support like Voxer, which is something I do with one-to-one clients. And so Voxer, maybe I end up taking, like 15 minutes a week or so. On the narrow side, if you feel like it's going to be a lot longer, 30 minutes. So let's just say on that high side, 30 minutes a week ends up being additionally basically 2 hours per month, right? And so that adds another 6 hours to my coaching package. So that means 12 hours. And then we want to consider outside prep time potentially, because that is your time. And so let's say that in addition to those 12 hours, you spend, this is narrow, but 3 hours. Let's just make it easy for the sake of this. So total, you realize and see that it's going to take you 15 hours to deliver this 3-month coaching container with a one-to-one client. So this is kind of the upfront work, right? That we kind of are planning for. There may be curveballs. You may have other things that you include in your container. Your prep work behind the scenes may take a lot more initially. And then I find, once I've really dialed in a container and coaching offer, then that prep work becomes less and less because I become more efficient at it. And then this does come back to that question of what are you wanting to make per hour? And this is going to be different for all of us. It's going to depend on what career you previously had, or maybe you've been working from home or you've been not working at all. Um, and I would just ask yourself, like, what feels really good as a starting place? Or what are you leaving behind that you really need to make? So this is where that piece comes in, and it's going to look different for everyone. So I'm going to use $100 an hour just as an easy mark. So if I know I am at 15 hours of work with a client and I'd like to make $100, then a place I may start my pricing at is $1,500 for that 3-month coaching package. Do you see how I came up with that number? Now, this is not the number that you are forced in stone to report out to a client. And I want to be really clear that we are playing here, we are testing, and there's this science part of it, like let's put the dollars and the numbers on the paper. And then there is this art and this tap into your intuition part that I think a lot of people bypass. Coaches who just say this is what you should charge are not taking into consideration the person's experience and confidence. One of the most important things about this entire conversation is that you must be your first sell. So you need to, with total confidence and total belief, stand behind the dollar amount that you're willing to say to someone. Because you guys, they sniff out a lack of confidence, or they can sniff it out when you try to glaze over and bypass and avoid having the money conversation. That's a critical part of agreeing energetically to work with a client. They need to know what the commitment is financially on their end, and you need to know what your commitment is to them to create the results. So I really want to dig into this is the beginning place. And then we move and we start asking some deeper questions. This is a starting point. So once you have this number on paper, I just want you to look at it and then ask yourself internally, can I, with confidence, say this number if I were talking to a potential client on a sales call? And just listen. If it's a hell yes, then this is a great starting point. If it's like, oh, shoot, I don't know, then this might be a place where we begin to play around a little bit. And I'm literally going to walk you through right now, if you were my client, what I would do at this point. If my client said, Amanda, I don't think I can say that number on the phone. First, I would spend time fleshing out why that is, which I'm not going to do right now. Those are opportunities that I really do deep work with on clients, right? I want to find out their money story, their belief systems, what's really preventing them from having complete buy-in at that point. However, I could spend all day trying to move those belief systems, but belief systems move over time. And typically it's because we take action and we start to collect evidence of what's possible to move out of that belief system. So that is not going to be an overnight answer. So then I have two options. I can just let the client keep working on, hey, we have to charge $1,500, or I can begin to move the needle to a place where they can confidently sell their prices and start making money now instead of eventually. And so what I will often say is, all right, we're going to play a little game here. And I'm going to give a number that might be an option for where you might have a price point for this coaching package. And I want you to tell me intuitively what comes up immediately for you. And so if the initial amount is 1,500, then I'll make a slight tweak and maybe say, okay, what about 1,497, right? And there's some psychology by coming down from the nearest whole number and using a psychology says a 7 is a higher buy-in for the person that for the consumer, basically. That's why Walmart ends in 7s, by the way. And so I might say, how's 1497? They say, oh, nope, it's still, too much. I'm like, okay. And so usually I'm writing on a whiteboard, right? And on my easel. And then I might move to 1297. Like, how does $12.97 feel? Ah, they might say it feels better, but I still feel a little hesitation. I might say, okay, 11.97, right? Or 9.97. And eventually what's going to happen is they're going to say, that feels so easy. That feels effortless. Like, absolutely. And so usually where then I challenge them is to go between that place where it felt effortless and that place where it felt like a hell no, and begin to ask themselves how they can stretch themselves. Inevitably, this is like the most massive success formula for profit or for investment of offers and pricing, is because we're taking in account you as a human and your prior experiences, and also the reality of like, you want to make money in this business, and you should also be rewarded for your time and your energy in a way that feels mutual. And so this again is a starting point. I really don't know any of my clients or myself that still charge what we did from day one. I've already shared experience of going from $50 a month to literally 5K and up a month, depending on my client. From one-to-one or corporate clients, those look very different. And so this is not an overnight success. What you start to do is push against the threshold. And truthfully, what happens is you deliver on this price point, and you might deliver and go, whoa, no, like I really just feel that I'm giving so much value here. The transformations are amazing that this just isn't a place I can hang over the long term. That is an indication that you're ready to make a jump. I encourage you not to make massive jumps, but to, adjust investment levels bits by bits so that you can get the feedback and guarantee. What I've found is I've made jumps too high, and then I'll test it out and I can see like where this sweet spot is specifically. And I've tested that out in the BDC, and that's why we structure a year-long investment opportunity that's basically $1,000 different. It's $1,000 less to join us for a year than the 6 months, and everyone almost opts in to be with us for a year because it's the same person, a year of support, same community, which I love because I'm invested in a long-term relationship with my people, because I know building a business takes time. And so where you begin your pricing and investment levels is not where you will end. So know that like if the goal is eventually to get to that place, whatever you have in your mind, then I encourage you to start now in a place to build confidence so that you get to that place sooner, instead of trying to force yourself to charge a price point because somebody told you to, that doesn't know you as a human. And then you really don't even fill up your roster because you're stuck in this belief system that this is your value. And it is. And we want to get you experience and get clients under your belts. And I'd rather you be serving and make cash and learn and grow so that the investment level just really organically is directly correlated to your experience and success as you grow as a coach. And so I hope today was a very tangible way for you to begin to um, think about how to price your offers. And I am going to be going even deeper into this discussion in an upcoming workshop that I would love to share with you. And inside the workshop, I'm going to be teaching you really how to feel more confident in the pricing points that you offer. I am going to help you identify some of the beliefs that are stopping you from pricing your offers in the way that you most desire. And I am going to really, you're going to walk away truthfully feeling like totally confident about how you're pricing your unique offer, and less like an imposter and afraid to have that giant money discussion. And that workshop is taking place on the 28th of November. And you can head on over to amanda-walker.com/best to sign up and save your seat now. So you and I can be live. We're going to go deeper into this topic, and it'll give you an opportunity to ask some live questions as well. So as always, keep coaching them up, and I will be right back here with you next week for more juicy goodness around coaching.